Hi students, today I am here with the second part of our topic, our chapter number 1, Fundamentals of Computer System. So this is the second topic, the evolution of computers. So this evolution of computers, it means in fact a history of computer, how it has developed, how it evolutions takes place regarding the computer from past to nowadays. So these 3 points we are going to cover in this topic: early developments, electronic computers and generations of computers. Let us start with this evolution of computers. See, there are early developments in that so many devices were designed, developed, we can say made, or some discoveries are there, and these devices are very helpful in nowadays which computer we are using. These all devices are the base of those computers and all computing devices. Let us start with this. First was abacus, then Napier's logs and bones, slide rule, Pascaline, Leibniz calculator, Jacquard's loom, Babbage's differential engine, Babbage's analytical engine, the punched cards and tabulating machines. These were some early developments. Very earlier in past, these machines were developed. Out of these, some were electronic, some were mechanical. Let us see how these machines were there and how these things were developed in West. So abacus was the first one. Abacus was developed in Egypt in about 450 BC and was later perfected in China in the 12th century AD. It has been used in a variety of forms for over 1000 years, and it is still used in some parts of Asia. And still, you people, if you see in surroundings, if you see in your schools, some schools, even some classes are there of teaching abacus. So this abacus still it is very useful. It was the first, we will say, the first invention about the counting things. In this was abacus. You can see the picture. It was made up of a wooden frame. There is a middle bar dividing the frame into two sections. So the upper part was called as heaven. It was having two beads in each stick, and downside part, that is called as a earth. It was having five beads in each column, we can say, or in each stick, or we can say the wires. Let us see the working of the abacus. So this abacus, from one end to the other, each wire represents units, tens, thousands and so on, how we are counting the numbers. To display any number on the abacus, the value is represented by shifting beads to the middle bar dividing the heaven and earth. Abacus could be used to perform addition, subtraction of numbers at a high speed, but the method is manual, but speed is tremendous. See, if you learn that abacus, you can easily, very fast, you can do the calculations, addition, subtractions very fast, tremendously. Next one is there, Napier's logs and bones. So John Napier, he has developed this technique or device, we can say. This device made up of a set of rods known as Napier's bones. It could be used to perform both multiplication and division. Abacus was made only for addition and subtraction. Napier's logs and bones can do multiplication and division also. Let us see again some information about it. Next one is their slide rule. So the pictures are mentioned over here, shown here for your idea. The slide rule was invented by William Ottfried. It was used to do calculations using the concept of logarithms. which nowadays you people have logarithm table while solving some sums or some formulas, some technical complex problems of physics, chemistry, even maths algorithms, so that logarithms are there. Pascaline. Now this is very interesting device. Blaise Pascal, a French mathematician, has developed this machine which is called as a Pascaline in year 1642. It could perform addition, subtraction, multiplication and division by rotating those gears which are on that machine, or we can say the wheels. Pascaline is the first calculator of the world. This is very important thing. Pascaline is the first calculator of the world. This is a real Pascaline device which is opened also, and upside part also you can see how that numbers, wheels are arranged there, gears are arranged over there. It consisted of a rectangular box which had 8 movable wheels. These wheels had marks to represent numbers from 1 to 9, and each wheel represented a particular decimal column. The wheels were connected in such a way that when a dial moved through a complete round, then another dial automatically moved through the one digit. It is like our ones, tens, hundreds, like this decimal places or places. Subtraction was achieved by turning the wheels in the reverse direction, and this machine could perform multiplication by repeated addition and division by repeated subtraction. Okay, means this is the process of Pascaline. How to do that multiplication? By repeated addition. It will show you the multiplication process, and repeated subtraction will give results of division. Leibniz calculator. In 1671, Gottfried Leibniz, a German mathematician, invented a calculating machine which could perform true multiplication and division. But due to lack of adequate facilities for adequate manufacturing at that time, it was not possible to achieve a reliable product. But it was a very good product as per that period of time. Then Jacquard's loom. Loom means it's like we can say hand looms, which we are using for making cloth. So these looms. Joseph Jacquard, a French textile manufacturer, devised an automatic mechanical method of controlling weaving looms to create complex designs on woven cloth. He used punched cards to control weaving needles of loom. This suggested a method of storing information on punched cards in the same design that needles were working as per the punch cards. Differential engine. This is a little mechanical work and having some different devices in that, small devices including over there, wheel, gear, many things. Charles Babbage, who is known as the father of computer. The Charles Babbage, a professor of mathematics at Cambridge University, designed a machine in 1822 which was to calculate mathematical tables called as difference engine. It is able to mechanically do calculations accurate up to 20 decimal places. Accuracy was very nice here. Analytical engine. After a differential engine, Charles Babbage is encouraged by the success of a differential engine. Charles Babbage developed the concept of an analytical engine in 1833. After 10 years, it was essentially a general purpose automatic calculator. The analytical engine was to have the same basic elements as today's modern computers have. This was the first, we can say, the device which we can consider as a base of today's computer. See, the description of that analytical engine is given. There are main 4 units were there. Mill, a mechanical unit of calculations. Then store, it can hold the data and results of calculations. a system of gears and levers to transfer the data between store and mill, the input and output units to read data and display the results. The analytical engine is said to be the first computer. Analytical engine is said to be the first computer of the world. Now let's see the punch cards and tabulating machine. In mid of 1880s, Dr. Hermann Hollerith proposed a mechanized solution to the problem of counting census. You know census? Janaganana we are saying. Census results in using the method of card punching for the storing data. He devised the card punching and card reading machines. These machines, called as tabulators, were able to process data at high speed with good accuracy. The census in 1880s on 50 million citizens had taken 7 years to complete, whereas the census in 1890 on 63 million people was completed in just 3 years by the use of Hollerith's tabulating machine. He set up his own company, the Computing Tabulating Recording Company, which later became the International Business Machines, that is IBM, today's largest computer manufacturer in the world. IBM machine, Dr. Hermann Hollerith. Let us move towards some electronic computers. Now these till here though all computers were mechanical devices. With the help of hand we used to work on that, or we used to handle it mechanically or manually. Now electronic computers era developed or started. Mark I and ENIAC, these two were their very famous computers. Let us see about the Mark I. You can see the picture how big it was, like a big hall. So up to the early 1930s, all the computers developed were mechanical. In between 1937 to 1944, Professor Howard Aiken, with the support of IBM, built the first automatic electromechanical computer, that is named as Mark I. It was able to multiply two 10-digit numbers in 5 seconds, very fast. It was the first machine to perform functions based on the pre-programmed instructions automatically. It was the first machine which was working on the programming. ENIAC was designed by Eckert and Mauchly in 1946. ENIAC it stands for Electronic Numerical Integrator and Calculator. It could perform addition, subtraction, multiplication and division. It could perform 5,000 additions in a second, and it was very big in size and consumed 150 kilowatts of power and needed to be water cooled because it got hot, and too much heat was generated with the help of this machine. You can see the person is working in that ENIAC system. That room is occupied by the whole system ENIAC. It can't move from one place to another place. It was not portable like today's computers. So they need to install, they need to be set up that machines in a big hall, and they have to work there continuously. Just like inside the computer those people were working. Sometimes that vacuum tubes or some electronic devices, they were getting burst. The people used to change it frequently. Sometimes the people may be getting injured with the help because of this such kind of devices like vacuum tubes, which was made by the glass material, and lot of heat generation was there, so it was bursting and it was very dangerous for human being. Then also those people were working in that. So this is called as the evolution of computer. Let us move there for generations of computer. See, these years are given tentative, that some years can be go ahead or for backwards, so don't mind out that, because on Google if you search, many websites will give you information about these generations. Duration may be having the difference maybe varies website to website. So just for the knowledge, for the tentative idea, you should keep in mind this era or period of time: first generation, then second, third, fourth and fifth generations, which is present nowadays. First generation computers were from 1942 to 1955. The first generation computers used vacuum tubes, which was a fragile glass device used to control and amplify the electronic signal. You can see those vacuum tubes are attached there. For your better view, I have kept here a very separate photo of very nice vacuum tube. You can see very nicely, clearly the characteristics of those first generation computers. Vacuum tube technology was used in this generation. They were the fastest calculating device of their time, the fastest one on at that time. Very big in size, non-portable. Then it was unreliable and very expensive. It was emitting very large amount of heat. Examples: ENIAC, Mark 1, UNIVAC, EDVAC, EDSAC. Different versions were there of those computers. And then first generation computers were there 1942 to 1955. And this, keep in mind, vacuum tubes were used in first generation computer. Okay. Second generation computer 1956 to 64. In that, second generation computers emerged with the development of transistors. The transistors, a smaller and more reliable successor, or we can say the alternative to the vacuum tube. In this generation, transistors became the brain of the computer, taking place of vacuum tube. See, you can observe, you can just compare that vacuum tube, this one, and these transistors. You can easily compare which are the better. Now here, no chance of bursting and giving problem, or any human being would be injured because of these transistors. No problem or no chance at all. Okay, so it was a very good replacement in second generation. You can see two more photographs are there of transistors. The characteristics of second generation computer: transistors were used in place of vacuum tubes. Computation time, being microseconds, was less than first generation computers. That is faster than previous one. Smaller in size as compared to previous. More reliable, better portability, less emission of heat. These were very costly machines. Examples: IBM 1401, Atlas, like this. Because of course that transistors were there, so the material of transistors is very costly. So these second generation computers were costly. In second generation computer, transistors were used instead of vacuum tubes. Third generation computer, you are very familiar with such kind of things. ICs, which you can see easily on any circuit board. So third generation computers were based on IC, integrated circuits technology. These ICs, these are small chips that has a large number of circuit elements integrated on it. On the small circuit, integrated circuit or IC, so many small elements were attached in that, or you can say included in that one. This is one more photo of IC. Characteristics of third generation computers 65 to 75. In that, integrated circuit replaced transistors. At the place of transistors, ICs were used. Computation time was reduced from microsecond to nanosecond again. Smaller in size as compared to previous, of course. Then more reliable, easy portability, less heat generation than previous. It is very cheaper than first and second generation. Examples: IBM 360, UNIVAC, then HP, AHP, like these computers. Fourth generation, which nowadays we people are using, 1976 onwards. So in fourth generation computers, we used microprocessor. Okay, they were based on the advanced than IC technology, large scale integration LSI, and the circuits on the small chip around 30,000 components, and very large scale integration VLSI, millions of components on a single chip. Fourth generation computers have LSI chip as their brain, that microprocessor we were calling as a microprocessor. An integration of a complete CPU on a single chip referred to as microprocessor. The computer become very compact, small, because of this microprocessor. Fourth generation's characteristics I want to read for you. See, there are some photographs of microprocessor, you can easily see those. It use of LSI and VLSI technology in these computers. Use of microprocessor as a CPU, very small in size, very reliable, easily portable, negligible heat generation, cheapest than all generation computers. Example, AVAX 11780, ICL 2900. So these are the computers which are used nowadays, which are, we are saying, PCs. With the help of microprocessor, these all computers are very fast, small, easily portable. From one place to another place we can carry easily. Even their cost is also reduced and speed also increased. No heat generation, more heat generation. Fifth generation, present onwards, still it is working in progress, and till now not completed. So the fifth generation computers are yet to arrive. They are under progress, they are under invention, some discovery, some work is going on, some research is going on that. These computers are supposed to have thinking power, that is, they will have AI, means artificial intelligence technology. They aim to bring machines to reason logically and with the real knowledge of the world and make decisions like human beings. So we can say that nowadays so many movies have come on this type of generation, or like intelligence, artificially made intelligence. So many movies are there in market, you can see, you might have seen it. Okay, there are some match the followings were there. So for you people, I am giving you one small homework, so please just see it. Match the followings: ENIAC, difference engine, slide rule, Pascaline, tabulating machine, Mark 1, and their inventors. So you do this homework along with it. So here I am going to stop the session. So let's meet for the next session. Till that time, take care, stay home, stay safe.